everyone, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Better Than Starting Manned. My name is Gord, and we are here and beginning to figure out our preparations for the next set of missions, which is going to involve landing a goo payload on the moon. Is our primary next goal. We want to test our landing technology and landing and return tech, which should go okay, but we'll find out. Now, I've been crunching some numbers before I started here today. See, one of the techs we unlocked recently was this new Keel Hall liquid fuel engine. And as you can see, it provides a maximum thrust of 1,500, whereas each of the engines we're currently using, the LVT-45s, produce a max thrust of 200. Now we're using a cluster of 4 of them, so we're getting a max thrust of 800 out of those. So as it is, it produces, the keel hulls produce almost twice as much thrust as the LVT-45s, but they use a little bit more than twice the, they use around twice the fuel. This uses 50.9165 per second for 1,500 thrust. And 4 of these use, I calculated out at 22.9124 liquid fuel per second for a thrust of 800. So I'm not really sure which is going to be better. I mean, with the keel hulls, I think I'll actually be able to throttle things down. Like I won't be needing to launch at max thrust. And I think the handover might actually work better with that massive amount of increased thrust. So what we're going to do to start the day today is we are going to grab a couple of missions. We're not going to do these missions right this. In fact, we're not going to do these missions right now. We are going to do this one though for our moon flight. We're going to do some experimenting with this. I think. Not entirely sure how yet, but we'll grab it and we'll see what it looks like. Yeah. I suppose I should figure out exactly... I should at least figure out where this one is. Yeah, it's not that expensive to fail, so we'll just grab that one too. Oh wait, hold on. That was the Kerbal one, wasn't it? Whoops. Well, I might have to clear that one out first then. Whoops. I don't want to have a bomb to the moon and a bomb to Kerbal mission on the go at the same time, because they might interfere with one another. I might just fly that one off camera, although some more experimenting. Yeah, I'm not in the mood to experiment with airplanes right now. Alright, let's start by revising our... We'll just throw a temporary probe core here. Actually, that subassembly has everything we need already. It's already a fully... Let's grab our 40-ton lift subassembly, because it's actually a fully functional ship right now. Come on. Apparently it doesn't treat it like a fully functional ship. That's annoying. There we are. Even though it's got a probe core, apparently it doesn't behave like a fully functional ship. Good to know. Okay. So if we take this, and the only change we're going to make is ripping these off, and we're going to have a version, redesigned version using the keel hull engines here. And that'll be the only change we're going to make. Then we just need a payload set for comparison. We need a 40-ton payload, which unfortunately we didn't have any medium payload contracts. So we're going to have to create a payload. So we need 40 tons worth of payload to test this, and we need something that's not going to have fuel draining or anything. Well, let's see, what weighs 40 tons? That weighs, a Rockomax tank right there weighs 36 tons, so that might work. If I had solar panels, I'd be able to actually put this thing into, I'd actually be able to put a Rockomax tank into orbit as a, that's cool. Alright, we'll just throw a... This is just for testing. We're not going to actually... This will be a revert to launch one. These are simulations we're going to do. So that's 36 tons of payload there. And we're going to disable... Can we disable? We cannot, but we can disable Oh, we shouldn't have crossfeed through there. That shouldn't be capable of crossfeeding. So that's 36. So we need another 4 tons from somewhere. We might have a bigger RCS tank. 3.4. Good enough. So there is our comparison. So we know pretty effectively from our previous flights how well the... going to need these as well. How well the first stage of launch works. This is actually what you're looking at here is, as soon as I have solar panels, this is going to be a space station, fueling station core. This is a design that we used on our in Flyer Z. Called it the orange pill. Very simple, very simple fuel station, but we will need a solar array to go with it. How exactly that's going to work remains to be seen. Anyways, this is not an actual launch of one of those. This is a prototype. So all we need to do now is make sure that it's not going to do something stupid like decoupling the payload at the wrong time. Alright, so the first problem I see is that these engines should be in the same... That should be like that. Looks good. So we have the double firing boosters still, and in theory those should give us a lot more punch. In fact, I should be able to launch these at lower power so that I can actually start throttle them up late. So this should be called the 40-ton Mark II lifter. Now, if this works out the way I think, this is actually going to be capable of lifting far more than 40 tons. Well, maybe not far more, but even another 10 tons might be nice. But that will be... I'll have to compare this to the behavior from the launch of the previous episode's ship. And then we'll take it from there. Okay. So as I say, this is a revert to launch flight, so this, because there's nothing of use or value on top of this ship to send on its way right now. So, we're going to see how well this thing performs on launch and take it from there. Alright, 40-ton lifter payload test. 60% throttle on the liquid fuel, launching in 3, 2, 1. Because what I can do, as I say, is when we're at the transition for the second set, we can kick the... wow. I think this thing's gaining speed quite nicely. We actually might have to watch it with this one. Punchy enough. Okay, ready for the handover for stage 2. We can drop that down a lot further. Wow. There we are. And then we'll put the fuel engines to full throttle when the solid boosters are about to lose out, and we should actually get into the sky much more efficiently now. Because... Alright, full throttle to the engines. And we are still accelerating. That's a big change. Whoa, 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 whoa. Gotta watch that. Okay, those engines are a little more prone to overheating, but even at 60%, they're still providing more thrust. In fact, wow, we're already at 1,100 feet. We gotta watch it. We're going so fast, we might actually be able to have to deal with... Okay, the only problem I can see is that we're actually running out of fuel a lot faster. Come on. Wow. It's not letting us thrust, it's not letting us rotate this ship. Alright, so the handover happened a little later, but our apoapsis is much higher. So we're actually much closer to the target elevation. Now granted, I couldn't rotate it as well. Looks promising. Definitely promising in terms of its behavior. Obviously, we're going to need to rethink the way we handle this ship a bit more. It definitely behaves a little differently from the old version. But all in all, that felt like a pretty solid test. Definitely do not have to have those engines at full throttle, that's for sure. 60% is going to be plenty of power for this thing to fly. So that takes us to the next project, which is designing the payload that's actually going to go to the moon. So all we're going to do with this one is going to be a goo return. And that's just for a bit more science. Alright, to 74, and still more than half a tank of fuel left, so we can easily get this thing into orbit. Which means that with solar panels, we would actually be able to build our refueling station. Cool. For flight to vehicle assembly. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to do this as this new subassembly will be the Mark II. Okay, stop it. And the difference thing I need to check is how much the differing costs differ. 40-ton lift Mark II. 2. Roman numerals. Love them. Okay, so let's just grab the other 40-ton lift subassembly. They're functionally identical. So we have, how much ship right now? 360. So we have a ship that costs 91,000 and a ship that costs 92. Oh, well, I'll be darned. Oh, 82, sorry. So it's 10,000 more to launch this other design. And I don't know if it actually gets that much more payload into orbit. I mean, this old design is cheaper. So, I'll have to think on it. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say, what you guys think about this. But I think for this particular mission, we'll use the slightly cheaper design. We'll use our classic, because it does work. Okay, and now we need to design a lander. What's going on? Oh, just another truck pulling up. Sorry, just some vehicles roaring around outside my house. Okay, so now I also did some calculation regarding the Poodle versus the LV 909s, and that came up much better. The Poodle is far more efficient than 5 LV 909s. Plus, you get the additional benefit of it doing the recharge on the way there. So, let's see, there's an 18-ton payload right there. The question is, of course, can we actually build a lander, a Poodle-based lander, that will survive? Well, that really comes down to these landing legs that we have access to. Do we have anything better? We do have the heavier duty struts. If we put a full ring of 8 of them on there, it might just work. Necessary? Not sure. But I do know for a fact that this mess will not get back to Kerbal intact. Let's see, if I extend these, I don't think those are even high enough or low enough on the thing to keep that Poodle from being smished on landing, short of it being a very, very soft touch. So the Poodle is going to be good for interstellar flights, but for landing flights, the LV 909s are still where it's going to be at, because they have such a low physical profile. Alright. So we're going to need 4 of these. Yeah. Now, what I got to be careful about is balance. This has always been a bit of a problem with these ships. Need to make sure that they are very carefully balanced. So we're going to need a reaction wheel there. We're going to need batteries. We're going to need enough batteries to actually make a landing here, so we're going to need 2 rings of batteries most likely. Let's see. Now we're going to need the part that's going to land needs to be designed. Just going to involve a heat shield, like so. A couple of little batteries. Actually, we'll do... You know what? Actually, we'll do one of the littlest batteries. This one is 200 charge. Is that going to be enough? Possibly. We could also do... Well, let's see, the weight-wise. I mean, that's excessive. If one of these POT... I think it might take 2 of these. Let's do it that way. So that's too high. That's the right one, yeah. Okay. So we're going to need... What else we're going to need? RCS? No, we're not going to put RCS on this. We're just going to let... Actually, a tiny, tiny little bit of auto... Do I have... What's the smallest RCS I have? That might not be necessary. Let's put one of these on instead. Disable this. Disable this. Tiny little bit of RCS control. Let's be at the center of mass. We want it right on the center of mass, which is slightly low. And then we just need our science. Now it would be really nice if I only had to take one of these. I don't know quite what's going on here. Let's see. Center of mass. Something weird is going on with this ship, with this design window right now. Alright, well hopefully that's not enough to matter. I don't know why this whole thing's off-center the way it is right now. Oh, it's probably because of this. Okay, and then we're going to need a decoupler. Right there. And a couple extra... Oh no, that'll be our main RCS tank right there. Okay. Alright, so see, this is the part where it gets a little bit complicated because these are not quite aligned. What the heck is going on here? Something is very odd about this, our current working space. There we are. I think that's better. Now what happened to those? There they are. Okay. Alright, get you in the middle. Get in the middle of the workspace. Alright. So let's see, where's the center of mass on this thing? So we need these distributed nicely around the center of mass, like so. There's one on the top and one on the bottom. And these 4 right here, because we are going to need them. I think that's going to be okay. I think that'll be enough. I mean, if I wanted to go more precise, I could distribute them at 245 degrees, but I seem to recall that worked really poorly. And what we're going to need now is double struts, because the only reason we're using this design is because the LVT-15, oh yeah, that's right, that's the modified, the LVT-909, but with a new paint job. Yeah. The LVT, the Poodle is just has too bulky of a profile. So we'll put that one there. That's 4. And we'll line it up right with the base of that. Should be no color sticking through. Okay, there is the... Is that off by one? It is. Okay, this one needs to be a little bit more to there. And that should be sufficient to keep it from collapsing under its own weight when it lands. I mean, the easiest way to tell, as usual, is going to be to say if this thing can fly on Kerbal, it'll probably fly just fine for the moon. There's that. And cross-structural bracing. There we are. Alright, so we got RCS thrusters on either side of the center of mass. We've got power in spades, probably way more than we need. We have the only science that we're going to actually be able to get. I'm trying to remember, is there any goo experiments we haven't done? Don't believe so. Now, if I wanted to cut down the mass of this a little, which actually I could pull off... Yeah, actually, you know what we could do? Let's pull off one of those and do it this way. Alright, that is still attached the way it should be. That's actually probably still a grossly excessive amount of electrical power. But that's okay. That's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to attach a small intermediary stage here. Be sort of our initial pulse to the moon, and it'll let us pull a bit of mass off this. I really don't want this to fail, you see. So there's a poodle. Let's get a decoupler. Let's see, 550, 400. We'll make do with the littler one. I think that's all that's going to fit here anyways. Okay. Come on. Oh, right. No duplication. There we go. Alright, so there's a 31 ton now. I don't think we could fit... Oh, I guess we could fit a bit more on. And then we throw a poodle on there. And this just becomes a small recharging run. So that's 38 tons. It's going to be touch and go to do this in a 500-ton ship, isn't it? With a manned mission. But I think this is actually way more fuel than we need to do the Apollo-style mission for the lander, because the lander is going to be a bit of a different setup. Alright. But the reaction wheel should help. Let's see, 38 tons. We could also just give this thing its own little dose of RCS fuel to take, or yeah, fuel to take with it. 39, that's definitely as much as we're going to want. Disable that. Okay. So the idea is that this thing is going to be able to get to the moon and back without incident. We'll just put it right there. A little bit of bracing right there. And then our next decoupler goes right there. And the lifting section goes right here. And in theory, this is our next, our Munar, our goo return prototype. Because I don't think I'm going to be able to... Actually, you know what? I won't be able to do it because the Munar flight I actually do with the manned Munar flight is actually going to be done using a... what was it? Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do the manned flight using a Apollo style, so we can't actually take a goo with us on an Apollo style because this is as far as I know, it's a non-transferable science. Oh, well, you know, there is one little detail that might be very, very good for a goo return attempt. How much does the goo weigh, anyways? I might just 0.3. Oh, for God's sakes, 0.3. Really? You know what? Heck with it. 2 of those, like so. Make it way easier to balance, and then we can throw. There we are, and we'll throw 4 of them on like so, and hopefully the goo won't interfere too much. And we'll put it right there. Okay. Critical technology missing. Parachute! Yeah. Might work just a little better with a parachute. So there's our payload that we're actually going to bring back. Doesn't matter that we have 2 sets of goo. We got all the other goo science already. Alright, let's clean up our staging here, because I already see problems. Which decoupler is that? That is the get rid of the whole bottom of the ships. Okay. Which stage is this? That's that one. Let's drop that below there. This poodle engine, where's the poodle? There it is. It goes with this one. We need a separate secondary booster stage. I don't know why these sub-assemblies get so badly scrambled. Primary boosters 1, primary boosters 2. Secondary boosters 1, secondary boosters 2, primary engine clusters, check. There should not be a decoupler at this stage at all. Okay, secondary boosters. We're missing the decoupler for that stage right there. There it is. That goes here with the... Those aren't the right engines. Alright. Those engines, that decoupler. Next up is the poodle stage. And then we should have one additional separate decoupler. This one up at the very top should be here on its own. These guys should go with the decoupler right below you. The poodle should go with the decoupler right below it. There we go. This shall be called the Munar Goo Mark 1. Munar Goo Lander Mark 1. Okay guys, I think that's all for today. I would love to fly this, but I really got to get going. So, hope you've enjoyed. I think this thing will fly okay. Note that I do have a 500-ton... I still have quite a bit of budget left with this ship, so I actually could make an even bigger lifting section. So I'll have to contemplate that. I might need to push it right to the 500-ton limit for a Munar mission, for the manned mission. Alright, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode, where we fly this thing to the moon. Bye for now.